All right, folks. Hopefully this microphone is audible and not too distorted or anything weird. I'm going to talk about my little MIDI drum machine for Linux. And this is, I wrote this thing about 15 years ago. It was actually the first GTK program that I ever wrote. And it does some interesting things. And I was playing around with the last couple days, and I realized the last video I made was super low quality, and I thought I should do something a little better. It's on GitHub. It's called Gneutronica, G-N-E-U, Tronica. And let's build it. Takes a couple of seconds. Okay, it's done. Now this is strictly a MIDI device, a MIDI program. It doesn't have any sounds of its own. So it needs something else to make sound. And that can either be an external physical drum kit that you have a MIDI cable for, or it can be a soft synth like Fluid Synth, or I'm actually going to use Hydrogen, which is another drum machine program. And you might ask, well, if Hydrogen exists, what's different about this? And I will show you. So here is Hydrogen. The thing that drove me to create this program was the time signatures. So in Hydrogen, you can see all these are powers of 2. I can turn this snap to grid off, and then I can place things kind of free form, but that's not the same as having different time signatures. So I had some weird guitar riff that had a very strange time signature, and I kept trying to use Hydrogen to make drums for it, and it was never fitting. And then finally I counted the thing out, and I was like, ah, crap, this is never going to work. And so I wrote this other program. So I have a special drum kit just for Hydrogen, so I'm going to use that. There is one other thing that I need to do. So I have to connect these two programs together, because by default they're not connected together. So I'm going to connect track 0 output from Gneutronica to Hydrogen's MIDI input. Okay, so now they're connected. So now I should be able to make sound over here. And I can. So that's Hydrogen is making those sounds, but Gneutronica is feeding it MIDI data to make those sounds. So what's interesting about this, the height of the notes that you place controls the volume. So with a single click, I can control both the timing and the volume of the note. So that's a nice, some of the drum machines I've seen are much more fiddly about how you control the volume of things. They'll have a default volume that everything's at. And then if you want to change it, you got this some little fiddly thing. And I didn't like that. So I made this thing, and you can see as you scroll over each instrument, they expand to give you room to more precisely set the volume. So that's one thing I really like about this program. Let me show you this thing here. You notice there's 4 red lines, and each one is divided into 4 segments by these blue lines. That is this 4 and this 16 that you see over here. If I change this 4 to a 5, then you have 5 red lines, and I can change the 16 to a 20, or, you know, you can make them whatever numbers you want. So I'm going to go put it back to what it was. And you can turn off the snap to grid. So if you want to place notes off the grid lines, you can do that. So there's a basic backbeat. There's also this arranger window, where you can say which patterns you want to play. So let's go back over here, and I'm going to select this pattern. I'm going to make a new pattern. I'm going to paste that pattern. So now I have a copy of it, and I can change some things. Let's say maybe I want another kick there. Maybe I don't want this little flam. Maybe I want to move the flam over here. Then I can go over here and start using that pattern. So no big deal, really. Let's see what else. What else is interesting? I can copy patterns. The interface here is a little weird. Like I said, this was the very first GTK program that I ever wrote. Let's get rid of these things. Another interesting feature is this program can deal with ASCII drum tab. So if you go on the internet, you can find drum parts for songs written out in ASCII drum tablature. And like here's some drum tablature. And sorry about that. We can copy that, and I can go back over to here, and I can say edit, paste, and whammo, it slams it in there. And if you look at the patterns, you can see it has parsed all that data and made them into patterns and found out where all the duplicate patterns are and arranged it. So that's pretty cool. So if I play this, now you may wonder how accurate it is, and that's a very good question, because stop that. That's a very good question, because it may not be all that accurate. Things that can trip it up, if the tab isn't carefully formatted, if it's got some weird spacing issues, that may show up as timing issues. If they use non-standard names for the instruments, I mean, it has quite a vocabulary of them, but sometimes people, they write things that humans can understand, and sometimes the computer doesn't understand it. Things like, if it has notes in it that say, here's the verse section, repeat this 4 times. Well, it's probably not going to understand that. It definitely won't understand that. But anyway, it's a pretty cool feature, because if you're not a drummer, and you can grab little snippets of drum tab and slam them in there and build up a drum track pretty quick. Anyway, that's pretty much all I wanted to show you guys, and hope you enjoyed it.